On today's episode of Let's Talk Drones, we are examining the looming death of the company known as XDynamics. I've had interactions with this company over the last 6 to 8 months that have indicated to me that this company, in a best case scenario, is on critical life support. Now, I need to be very, very careful with how I word the information I'm sharing with you today. So for that reason, I'm going to separate the video into 2 different sections. The first section is going to be all fact-based. It's going to be a timeline of the events that occurred between myself and XDynamics. The second portion of the video is going to be an opinion section. Now, I'm going to include a disclaimer before we get to the opinions. It's very clear that everything from that point forward in the video is my opinion and my opinion alone. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the companies with which I am affiliated in the drone industry. So now that we have all of that out of the way, let's talk drones. We do have some cool stuff coming down the pipeline in terms of drone reviews. Let's take a look at what we will be reviewing in the next few weeks. Is this behemoth right here? The XDynamics Evolve 2. We will be doing a full review on this guy right here. And if you've been following the channel for any length of time, or you've been watching my content with any regularity, you're probably familiar with that bit. I was really excited to review the Evolve 2, but sometimes life just finds a way of not working out the way you wanted it to. And that brings us to this video today. Now, originally, I wanted to pair this video with an article on my new blog, thedronegeek.org, that would have featured a ton of receipts. I'm talking screenshots from WhatsApp conversations, email chains, voice recordings. I had everything to back up what I'm going to be telling you today. But after consulting with some legal resources, I was advised that it's probably not a good idea to just publish them willy-nilly. So instead, I'm asking for your trust in me to know that the facts section will not be embellished and that my opinions are based in those facts. Just know that I'm being honest with everything I'm sharing with you today. And by the way, whether you're affiliated with XDynamics or not and you're watching this video, if you have any problems with what I'm sharing, I am happy to back that up with the receipts in private. Believe me, I will do it if I need to. Just wanted to get that out of the way. And I want to be very, very clear too. What I'm about to share with you does not mean that I have any disdain for the folks that work at XDynamics or worked at XDynamics. I'm merely observing what's going on, and I'm forming an educated opinion based upon the facts that I see. So let's go ahead and talk about that timeline. Now, at the beginning of 2023, maybe the end of 2022, XDynamics had sent me an Evolve 2 to review. Now, the original agreement was I was going to send it back, but after flying the XDynamics Evolve 2 a few times, I really started to like the drone, believe it or not. And so I reached out to them and said, look, I really like this drone. I'd like to be able to keep it. And if you allow me to keep it, I will do an extended amount of content for you. So rather than just doing one review video, the agreement would be I get to keep the drone, but then I do 12 months worth of content about and with the Evolve 2. I thought that was a pretty sweet deal, and so did XDynamics, because initially they agreed to allow me to keep the Evolve 2. So I continued on with my review process, and that brings us to January 18th of 2023. On this day, January 18th, I reached out to the team that had been assigned to me from XDynamics to help me through the review process with any questions, comments, or concerns I had about the Evolve 2, with a few questions about how to get the most out of the Evolve 2 and one issue that I needed help troubleshooting. I'll bring your attention to 2 pieces of information in this communication. First of all, one of the questions that I asked had to do with getting more range out of the Evolve 2. I wanted to know about some compatible antenna that I could pair with the ground station to get more range when I'm flying the Evolve 2. The other piece of information I want you to be aware of is the troubleshooting issue. I was having problems with the CFast card slot reading the CFast card that I was using to attempt to write video to. I was using a 256 gigabyte CFast card. When I reached out to them, I let them know that the ground station was indicating that I had 19 or so megabytes left of 70 megabytes total, which was totally not accurate at all, because I had formatted the card several times in the ground station as well as outside of the ground station, and of course the capacity numbers don't match up. 70 megabytes versus 256 gig, something was not quite right. And to their credit, they got back to me the same day with feedback on the issues that I was experiencing. They answered all of the questions I had. They recommended some antenna that would give me more range with the Evolve 2, and they also indicated that 256 gigabytes was too large of a capacity to use with the Evolve 2. They they recommended 128 gigabytes for a CFast card, so that same day I got on B&H's website and ordered a 128 gigabyte CFast card specifically for use with the Evolve 2. On January 20th, I followed up with the team from XDynamics, letting them know that I had not gotten to the feedback that they provided me for how to get the most out of the Evolve 2, but that I was still having issues with the CFast slot. I had downgraded from a 256 gig card to 128 as they recommended, and it was still giving me an inaccurate reading on the ground station despite formatting the card over and over and over again. They replied same day and let me know that it sounded like there was some damage done to the CFast slot and that I'd have to send it in for repair. They then followed up with a UPS shipping label as well as packaging instructions for the Evolve 2, and I got it out to them within 10 days. That means I was really busy and I didn't have time to stop at UPS to drop it off for shipment, so it took me about 10 days to get to a UPS location and ship it to them. Then on February 2nd, I noticed a message on my UPS tracking information. It said, "Hold for pickup requested." So I reached out to XDynamics to confirm that this was accurate and to let them know that I wanted confirmation once they received the Evolve 2. They responded and let me know that they could no longer receive the Evolve 2 at the address listed on the shipping label, so they instead had to go pick it up from the UPS location. Sometime between February 2nd and February 10th, the team from XDynamics did retrieve the Evolve 2 from the UPS location that it was stuck at. On February 10th, I sent a follow-up communication via WhatsApp to the team asking about the status of the repair on the CFast slot. I did not receive any response other than a thumbs up reaction to my message. Between February 10th and February 19th, I would send an additional follow-up asking about the status with no response at all. Then on February 19th, a member of the team that I'm going to refer to as Person A reached out to me letting me know that another member of the team would be reaching out to me in the very near future. No other details other than that. On February 20th, the team member in question reached out to me via WhatsApp. I'll refer to this team member from here on out as Person B. In that message, they indicated that XDynamics was discontinuing their partnership with Evolve 2 and instead turning their focus to a new project that they projected to be released very, very soon. Person B also indicated that another team member that I had worked with previously was no longer with the company. They then shared their email contact so that I could have easier access to them through the communication process. I had sent them an email to that email address and then followed up via WhatsApp to make sure that they had received the email. Then on February 22nd, Person B sent me a voice message on WhatsApp. In this voice message, they had indicated the position the company was in general and let me know that the company was totally closing down. They also indicated that they were moving all operations from the United States over to Taiwan and that the company would be based out of Taiwan entirely. Person B also expressed concern for their own position in the company and wasn't sure if they'd have a job. In a follow-up text message via WhatsApp, Person C from XDynamics, who I had not previously mentioned, sent me a message confirming that the operation was moving to Taiwan, but they also indicated that they would continue selling and developing the Evolve 2 as well as this project that they had teased in an earlier message. I responded same day with 2 voice messages of my own. Those voice messages expressed my interest in still conducting the review of the Evolve 2 since they had planned on selling the units they had in backstock and continuing to do business with Evolve 2. Those 2 voice messages that I sent went unaddressed in WhatsApp, but the conversation continued via email. In that communication with Person B via email, they had indicated that I'd be working with another new person from XDynamics, a person I'll refer to now as Person D. To try to respect the situation these folks found themselves in, the droning company and myself decided it'd be best if we just stepped away from the situation and gave them room to breathe. So we ceased communication for about 2 months. On April 21st, Stuart Smith, CEO of the droning company, whom I had been collaborating with on the content of the review for the Evolve 2 for both my own platform as well as the platforms of the droning company, reached out to Person D via email, breaking the silence. In this email, he simply expressed our desire to finish the review that we had started on the Evolve 2, especially since they had indicated that they planned on selling the backstock of the Evolve 2 and possibly continuing to work with Evolve 2. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of every email that was sent back and forth between April 21st and May 15th. It's much too cumbersome for a video format like this. Instead, I'm going to factually summarize the communications that happened between Person D, myself, and Stuart Smith in that time frame. The conversation conversation that occurred in that email chain from that point on consisted largely of two different ideas. The first being confirmation that the Evolve 2 is being sent back to me so that I could finish the review and then send the drone back to XDynamics. Despite having the initial agreement in place being that I would get to keep the Evolve 2 and do long-term content on it, we did renegotiate and agreed to send the Evolve 2 back to them after I was done with the review video. The other idea that was discussed was the content in the review itself. Person D was very concerned about what we would say in our review of the Evolve 2 because they were concerned about putting the company and the Evolve 2 in a bad light and what that might mean for their reputation in the industry. As the conversation wore on, I did bring up the idea of doing this video and the article that I'm pairing with it as a way to leverage my position in the conversation and get the Evolve 2 back so I could finish the review that I had started working on. Obviously, since you're here watching this or reading the article, you know that things didn't work out that way. Now, here's where we shift gears from fact to opinion, because that was the last set of communications that I received from anybody at XDynamics. The last thing that was said to me was that they would be shipping out the XDynamics Evolve 2 so that I could finish the review, and I have not heard anything from them since. So, here's your official disclaimer. Please be advised that the views expressed following this portion of the video are mine and mine alone and are not necessarily shared by the droning company or any other companies within the industry to which I am currently affiliated. The views I am about to express are also not necessarily an accurate reflection of both sides of this experience and the interactions that occurred within it. Boy, I hope that's enough disclaimer to keep the lawyers off of me.
Hey drone pilots, are you looking to try a new drone? Something different, cutting edge, and capable. The Droning Company is giving away a Spartacus Hurricane to one lucky winner. The Spartacus Hurricane by Aqualine Drones is a fully equipped commercial UAV that sends mission data to the cloud in real time, making information available quickly and easily. Enter by scanning the QR code on your screen. Don't wait. Contest ends July 30th, 2023. No purchase necessary. State rules apply. Only valid to residents of the United States. This is your chance to have a Spartacus Hurricane by Aqualine Drones. A $5,400 value, yours free upon winning. Enter for your chance to win with the Droning Company. Yeah!
No, I mean, how do you even start this? It's really hard. So I guess I'll just go to what I think is right. I'm going to use a phrase that we all hate to hear more than anything from our parents, and that is, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I mean, here we had a company that was suffering from a really catastrophically bad image issue because of some of the products they'd put out in the past. And you know, when they sent me the Evolve 2 and I looked at the spec sheet, I started to believe in XDynamics despite all the things I had heard about the Evolve 1 and the company as a whole from other reviewers and journalists in the industry. I really wanted this thing to work. I really did. And honestly, the Evolve 2 isn't a bad drone. They were going to score pretty decently on the review that I'd been putting together for them. I would say I got about 65% of the way through the review process, and at that point they had scored like a 7.7 out of 10, something like that. And while I would like to sit here and parse out all of these ideas and reasons as to why this company has got such a terrible reputation and make it about unfortunate circumstances outside of their control, I just can't, because I believe firmly a lot of the problems that they're facing are self-inflicted. And let me explain why I feel that way. First of all, their statement about discontinuing their partnership with Evolve 2. The first question in my mind was, wait, so you don't manufacture the Evolve 2, you purchase it from a third party and put your XDynamics label on it. Now, is that a problem in itself? Not really. I mean, you can sort of see past that. A lot of other companies do it too. But they were sort of presenting themselves as this equal to Autel and DJI. But the problem with that is Autel and DJI both own the patents on the drones that they're selling. They manufacture them, they design them, they have all of the decision-making power when it comes to the production of those drones. It doesn't seem that XDynamics has the same relationship with the Evolve 2 that DJI has, for instance, with the Inspire 3. It's licensed versus proprietary product. That's really what the issue is, and that's why XDynamics really never had a prayer at hanging with Autel and DJI as one of the big boys. On top of that, there was some waffling about whether or not XDynamics was going to discontinue their partnership with Evolve 2. At first they said they were, and then they indicated they'd continue selling the product, and then they indicated that that they were only going to sell the backstock, and then it got really vague and they weren't sure what they were going to do. So what's the deal? At the end of the day, I had been putting a substantial amount of work into the review that I was conducting on the Evolve 2, and I was actually excited about their product. I had a lot of plans for continued product review as well as continued product use on my social media platforms to help give them some valid exposure out in the world of drones. So being somebody that advocated for this company, that was actually legitimately excited about their product, and then to have them sort of be shady with me is really disgusting and a real letdown. Another piece of shady business that they were conducting was this whole idea of a shutdown in the US. So it is true that they shut down operations in the US. They closed their California location, and it seems like they don't have any type of operation going on in the US. They are transitioning to Taiwan, but there was an indication that the company was closing down completely. Well, that doesn't make any sense. If they are closing down completely, then why are they moving everything to Taiwan? Why even bother? Second of all, you're continuing R&D on this project that you're teasing, but you don't have any firm dates about, and to this point, I still don't know anything about this product or when it's going to be released or if it's going to be released. So you're working on something, but the company's totally shut down. Now, was this a case of people not truly knowing what was going to happen with the company, so they were just speculating, or was this a blatant misdirection so that I would be thrown off of their trail as to what was actually going on? I don't know for certain, but what I do know is there was probably a level of panic that ensued after XDynamics announced that they were moving everything over to Taiwan and temporarily or maybe even permanently shutting down operations completely, and that panic resulted in a free fall of contradiction from everybody that I talked to in the company. It didn't seem like anybody had a clear idea of what was going on for the most part. But back to the appreciation or the pseudo appreciation. I was told on numerous occasions that they appreciated me so much for what I was doing and that they wanted to help me conduct the review. But I'm one of those people that thinks actions speak louder than words. So the fact that I was being fed this lip service of, we appreciate you, we want to help you conduct this review, and then I never got any help in actually completing the review, tells me that they had no interest in completing the review anyway. At one point, in the voice message that was sent to me by person B, they had indicated that the economy was the reason why XDynamics needed to move all of their operations from the US to Taiwan. And while I want to be sympathetic to the fact that we aren't in the greatest economic period in American history, I do want to point out that Battelle and DJI don't seem to have any problems thriving in the US economy, as well as several other drone and drone adjacent companies. Everybody else seems to be making some headway and doing okay. It just seems that XDynamics is the victim of this terrible economy that we have. To me, it sounds less like a grand scale economic issue and more of an issue of they can't make a drone that works right. Again, I don't hold person B personally responsible for the statement they shared with me about the economy. In fact, I'm willing to bet it was one of the executives of the company that shared some BS rhetoric that they learned in some masterclass they bought online about how to run a business and how to be a leader. All that statement does is shifts the blame off of the executive team's dog business decisions and shifts it onto something that nobody can control, the economy. Not to mention, it makes it a lot easier to fire the worker bees when, it's out of your hands. The last thing about dealing with XDynamics that just made my skin crawl was this whole concept of protecting the reputation of XDynamics and the Evolve 2. But the whole problem is they don't really have a reputation to protect, or worth protecting anyway. It's been determined in large by the drone community at this point that XDynamics has a platform that falls short of expectations. People have been disappointed by it time and time again. Disappointed! Does it need to stay that way? No, they can change it. They have to be honest with themselves about where the drone's at and what its capabilities are, market it accordingly, and then take the feedback they get from people that are unhappy with it and make the changes necessary to bring it up to snuff. It seems like XDynamics' priorities are all out of whack. Instead of taking the feedback that they're getting about their platforms and addressing it and fixing it so that the product works the way that they want it to work, they'd rather get out in front of the narrative that's being set based upon the performance of their product and change it. They want to shift it and make it seem like their product can do more than it can actually do and function at a higher level than it can actually function. It's a tale as old as time. Half-baked is never a winning recipe. All in all, I can say I'm not totally surprised about how it turned out with XDynamics. To quote the late, great Dennis Green, Harrisburg's native son and former NFL coach,
"But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook."
That's right. They are who we thought they were. But this time, coach, this time we're not letting them off the hook. I believe XDynamics is on borrowed time. I think the move to Southeast Asia is less about relocating to get a fresh start in a new location and more like an old cat trying to find a quiet place to die. And look, I know that this might seem like somewhat of a hit piece against XDynamics, but I assure you that was not the intention of all of this, despite the fact that at one point I kind of framed it that way with Person D, but I truly wish the best for XDynamics. I hope that this move to Taiwan helps them to succeed and stay competitive and relevant in the industry. Not to mention all the really nice people that work there. Genuinely, as people, they were all very kind and very sweet and easy to work with. It just sucks to see deals like this go this way in the drone industry. Not necessarily just because I got the short end of the stick, so to speak, but because there's so little competition against Autel and DJI, especially in the consumer and prosumer space, that it's like, wow, I really wanted XDynamics to succeed and to push their way into that portion of the industry and keep those two other companies honest. Not that DJI and Autel are dishonest, but it really makes sure that they continue to innovate and continue to be competitive in their business practices. The more viable UAV platforms we have out there for use by consumers and professionals alike, the healthier the industry will be in the long run. It only means good things when we have more competition in the industry. But this is business we're talking about here, baby, and there's only 3 things I know for sure when you're talking about business. Number 1, there will be winners. Number 2, there will be losers. And number 3, it doesn't matter who wins and who loses, the world's gonna keep on turning. Look, XDynamics, if you're watching this, I am sorry. I really, really am. I wanted you to be the chosen one. I really did. I wanted you to break in, and I wanted you to sort of push DJI and Autel around a little bit.
You were the chosen one.
But instead of being the chosen one, you took advantage of the trust that I extended you. You metaphorically told me you hated me.
I hate you.
And then you metaphorically caught on fire. Wait, that sounds really familiar. Hold on. Has anybody checked on the younglings? Yeah, in conclusion, I mean, XDynamics, just a huge disappointment. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but it still sucks. I am not happy with how that experience went, and I won't be doing business with them anytime in the near future unless some amends are made, and they have to be made in a very big way. Not to mention, I did purchase those Wi-Fi extender antennas, and I never got them back. I sent them in thinking I was gonna get this freaking drone back, and they didn't send them back. If you liked this video, hit the thumbs up icon down below. Helps me out a lot, helps get this video out into the algorithm to more drone pilots and enthusiasts like yourself. If you really, really like this video, you love drone content made by drones, about drones, and for drone pilots, this is the channel for you. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out a lot. Again, gets this channel out in front of more people just like yourself, helps us grow the fan base. And the more people we have watching these videos, the more money I make, which means I can reinvest it into the channel and do cooler and cooler content. And if you really like this video, you like me, and you want to hear more from me, hit the bell icon. It'll give you a notification every time I post a new video. Until next time, I'm Chris, the Drone Geek, and I am out of here.
Yo, what you say? Steady screaming, YOLO.